Imagine closing your eyes tonight and realizing that everything you thought was real, the streets you walk, the people you know, even the ground beneath your feet, might only be shadows of a deeper truth. What if the only place you ever see the world as it really is in your dreams? As strange as that sounds, it's a thought that has haunted mystics, philosophers, and scientists alike. And before we go further, pause for a moment. If you've ever felt your world shift in a single dream, ask yourself, could it be possible that you've glimpsed the real universe while sleeping? And if questions like that stir something inside you, consider subscribing and sharing your thoughts in the comments, because your story might hold a piece of this great puzzle. Now, picture yourself drifting between waking and sleeping, where the line blurs and reality bends. In that fragile space, countless cultures have placed the deepest mysteries. Ancient Egyptians believed the dream state allowed the soul to travel beyond the body. Indigenous tribes across the Americas spoke of dream worlds as more real than waking ones, teaching that nighttime visions carried the seeds of destiny. Even Aristotle, writing in the 4th century BCE, considered dreams a window into truths hidden from waking perception. You see, this is not a fringe idea. It's a recurring whisper across civilizations. Science, too, has had its moments of awe. Dr. Alan Hobson from Harvard Medical School, in his pioneering sleep research during the 1970s, discovered that dreams arise not randomly, but through structured activation patterns in the brain. Yet here lies the paradox. If the brain is simply creating random stories, why do so many dreamers report answers to unsolved problems, flashes of creativity, or even premonitions that later unfold in waking life? You might recall the story of August Kekule, who dreamt of a snake biting its tail, which inspired him to solve the molecular structure of benzene in 1865. Was that just imagination, or a window into a layer of reality deeper than conscious thought? And perhaps you too have had a night where you awoke startled, because the dream felt more vivid, more truthful than any memory of the day before. Maybe you've walked through a dream city whose streets you knew by heart, even though you'd never seen them awake. Perhaps you've spoken to a loved one long gone, and in that moment, you felt they were truly there. These are not small coincidences. They're part of a vast, quiet mystery that humankind has carried for millennia. So allow yourself to consider, what if the waking world is only a rehearsal, a stage, play, while dreams hold the backstage reality? What if, as you lie here listening, your sleeping self is preparing to step into a universe of unfiltered truth? The deeper implication is both thrilling and humbling. Maybe you are more than your waking thoughts. Maybe your dreams are not escape, but return. And as you drift deeper into this journey, we'll explore together the echoes of civilizations that treated dreams as sacred, the scientists who dared to measure the unmeasurable, and the personal stories that suggest your nightly visions may hold more power than you've ever believed. For now, just breathe and let your mind rest on this possibility. The dream world might be the real world. Imagine for a moment that the civilizations of the past We're not merely primitive cultures stumbling toward progress, but custodians of knowledge we have only begun to rediscover. What if their myths, their temples, their cryptic writings were not symbolic at all, but literal messages about the dreamlike nature of reality itself? You see, the further back you look, the stranger the record becomes. And the more you allow yourself to drift with this thought, the more you may begin to sense that something has been waiting, hidden in plain sight. Take the ancient Egyptians. They built vast temples not just as monuments of stone, but as living maps of the unseen. Within the temple of Luxor, inscriptions detail dream incubation practices, where initiates would lie upon sacred beds awaiting visions from the gods. Dr. Kezia Sapakowska, an Egyptologist from Swansea University, has noted that these dream chambers were designed to encourage altered states of consciousness, half waking, half sleeping, believed to open the soul to higher truths. Imagine lying there under torchlight, drifting into sleep, and being told by your teachers that what you saw next would guide not only your life, but the destiny of a kingdom. Travel eastward to India, and you find the Upanishads, texts written around 800 BCE, speaking of the world as Maya, an illusion. The Chandogya Upanishad teaches that dreams are not secondary, but revelations of the deeper self, glimpses of Brahman, the ultimate reality. In their view, what you see in waking life is a flickering shadow on the cave wall. The real fire burns within the dream. The Greeks, too, left their echoes. At Epidaurus, a sanctuary of Asclepius, the god of healing, pilgrims would spend nights in Abaton chambers. There, they hoped for dreams that would deliver cures. Ancient accounts describe patients awakening with visions so vivid they knew precisely which herbs to take, which rituals to perform. Dr. Edward Tick, a modern scholar of ancient healing, argues that these dream practices were a form of proto-psychotherapy, uniting body, mind, and spirit. Could it be that the dream guided not just belief, but biological healing? Even in Mesoamerica, the Mayans viewed dreaming as a sacred act. Their glyphs and codices depict rulers communing with ancestors through sleep, receiving visions that directed warfare and agriculture. Anthropologist Dennis Tedlock, who studied Mayan traditions in Guatemala, reported that shamans considered dreams a shared realm where communication between living and dead was possible. For them, it wasn't metaphor, it was geography. Dreams were places to travel. And perhaps the most astonishing of all are the Aboriginal Australians, who hold the concept of the dream time. This is not the past, nor the future, but the eternal dimension in which creation itself continues to unfold. Rock paintings tens of thousands of years old, still preserved in Arnhem Land, show serpents, spirits, and pathways between worlds. Elders explain that dream time isn't accessed only when asleep. It is the underlying truth, glimpsed most clearly when the body is at rest. To them, the waking world is temporary. The dreaming is eternal. Now pause and imagine yourself among these people. Picture lying on cool stone in an Egyptian temple, or resting beneath endless Australian skies, listening as elders describe the dreaming. You might feel the hush of night, the flicker of firelight, the moment when eyes close and the dream begins. In every culture, across continents, the message repeats. Your nightly visions are not fantasies. They are doors. And what does this imply for you, here and now? It suggests that humanity has always sensed a hidden dimension, one that appears only when ordinary perception fades. Perhaps these traditions are not remnants of superstition, but fragments of a larger truth. Clues pointing to the possibility that dreams are where reality unveils itself. As you continue to listen, allow these echoes of ancient civilizations to settle in your mind. Consider how so many voices, across time and distance, converge on the same message. Dreams matter. They are not fleeting. They may be the only place you ever glimpse the world as it truly is. Have you ever wondered why some teachings, written thousands of years ago, still feel as if they're speaking directly to you today? Imagine opening a book so old its pages crumble, and yet the words seem alive, whispering truths about the hidden nature of reality. Could it be that these texts, and the mystical teachers behind them, understood that dreams were not escape, but revelation? As you drift deeper into this thought, notice how curiosity itself is a kind of doorway pulling you gently inward. The Tao Te Ching, attributed to Laozi in the 6th century BCE, speaks of the world as a dreamlike unfolding of the Tao, the ineffable flow behind all things. One passage reads, "Life is but a dream, and if life is but a dream, who is the dreamer?" Scholars such as Dr. Roger Ames, a leading translator of Chinese philosophy, explain that these lines were not poetic musings, but carefully crafted paradoxes designed to shift perception. They invite you to sense the world not as fixed, but as fluid, like a dream shifting shape around you. Meanwhile, the Buddhist tradition offers profound reflections on the dream state. In Tibetan Buddhism, dream yoga has been practiced for over 1,000 years. Teachers like Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche describe exercises where monks learn to recognize the dream as it unfolds, training themselves to awaken within it. The purpose was not entertainment, but enlightenment, directly experiencing the mind's ability to create reality. In this practice, waking life and dream life merge until both are recognized as equally dreamlike. Imagine for a moment becoming aware in your sleep that you are dreaming, and realizing that the same awareness could apply right now as you listen to these words. In the Christian mystical tradition, figures such as Saint Augustine in the 4th century wrestled with dreams as spiritual communication. He wrote of visions that came in sleep, guiding choices and offering glimpses of divine truth. Later, in the 16th century, Saint Teresa of Hinvilla described dreams and inner visions that she claimed were more real than the waking world, so vivid that they altered the course of her life and the lives of those around her. Were these dreams simply personal, or did they open into something greater? And consider the Sufi mystics of the Islamic world. The great teacher Ibn Arabi, writing in the 12th century, taught that the world itself is a vast dream, with God as the ultimate dreamer. He wrote that to awaken in this dream is to awaken to truth itself. Scholars like Dr. William Chittick, a leading interpreter of Ibn Arabi, note that these teachings describe a continuum from nightly dreams to waking dreams to the great dream of existence, All levels are real, yet all are veils. To pierce them is to come closer to unity. Now, let's step away from ancient libraries and monasteries. Imagine yourself holding one of these texts late at night, candle flickering beside you. The world outside is quiet, and as your eyes move across the page, you begin to feel as though the words are not coming from the book at all, but from somewhere deep inside you. They seem to stir something you already knew, but had forgotten. You close your eyes, and the boundary between reading and dreaming dissolves. What does this mean for you, listening here, now? It suggests that wisdom has always carried a hidden thread. The world may be dreamlike, and dreams may be world-like. The teachers did not leave us riddles for their own amusement. They left them as keys, waiting for us to notice. Keys to perception, keys to awareness, keys to remembering that life itself might be a dream within a dream. As you continue this journey, let these teachings settle like seeds in fertile soil. You don't have to solve them now. Simply let them resonate, for soon we'll step into another layer of the story, how modern science, centuries later, began to explore the same mysteries through experiment, through data, through the tools of reason. And yet, even in its precision, science found itself circling back to the same ancient paradox: what is real, and how do we know? Imagine a world where people first began to measure the stars, the heartbeat, the flicker of a candle flame, all in the hope of defining reality. For thousands of years, knowledge was shaped through myths and symbols. But then something shifted. Humans began to ask, can we observe? Can we record? Can we prove? This was the birth of modern science. Yet even here, in the cold light of reason, the mystery of dreams and the nature of reality itself never disappeared. In fact, the deeper they looked, the stranger the answers became. Think of Galileo Galilei in the early 1600s, raising his telescope to the heavens. He expected smooth spheres, perfect and eternal. Instead, he saw craters on the moon, spots on the sun, moons circling Jupiter. Reality, it turned out, was not as it seemed. His observations shook the foundation of the world's beliefs. Dr. Stillman Drake, a historian of science, writes that Galileo's discoveries marked the first time humanity realized that perception could be wrong, that what the eye sees may not reveal the whole truth. Does that sound familiar? Dreams, too, present vivid images, convincing yet elusive. Then came René Descartes, often called the father of modern philosophy. In 1641, he posed a radical question: how do we know we are not dreaming right now? His dream argument wasn't idle speculation. It was a direct challenge to the certainty of the senses. Descartes realized that if dreams can perfectly imitate waking experience, then waking life might itself be indistinguishable from dream. Imagine lying awake in bed at night, asking yourself, how could I ever prove the difference? Descartes concluded only one thing was certain: cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Awareness itself, not the world around it, was the anchor. In the 18th century, Isaac Newton's laws brought a powerful sense of order. Motion, gravity, and mechanics were described so precisely that the universe began to look like a vast machine. Yet even Newton, who gave us calculus and laws of motion, spent much of his life immersed in alchemy and mysticism. Historian John Maynard Keynes once remarked, "Newton was not the first of the age of reason. He was the last of the magicians." Imagine that. The man who defined scientific law still believed that hidden forces shaped reality. Forces he sought in dreams, symbols, and experiments with the unseen. As centuries unfolded, medicine too turned its gaze inward. In the mid-19th century, Dr. Sigmund Freud began collecting dream reports from his patients in Vienna. He argued in The Interpretation of Dreams, 1899, that dreams were the royal road to the unconscious, where hidden desires and fears surfaced in disguised form. Freud might not have claimed dreams revealed the literal structure of the cosmos, but he insisted they revealed another truth: the hidden architecture of the mind. His work inspired decades of research, showing that even within the brain, much of reality remains hidden, revealed only in dreamlike symbols. Freud's student, Carl Jung, took this further. He proposed that dreams connected not only to personal experience, but to a collective unconscious shared across humanity. Jung pointed to recurring archetypes: the wise old man, the shadow, the great mother, that appear in dreams across cultures. Could these be fragments of the same universal dream? Modern researchers like Dr. Sonu Shamdasani, a Jungian scholar, suggest that Jung's work was not just psychology, but a philosophy of reality. To him, the dream world was a dimension where the personal and the cosmic intertwined. Now pause and imagine yourself standing at the threshold of this new age of knowledge. Telescopes reveal moons you never knew existed. Equations predict the motion of planets. Doctors listen not only to your words but to your dreams. The world is becoming measurable, yet at every turn, the deeper questions persist. Is what we measure the ultimate truth, or only a fragment of it? For you, lying in bed, this has implications. The very foundation of science rests on doubt, on the recognition that appearances deceive. Galileo doubted the smoothness of the moon. Descartes doubted waking life itself. Newton doubted the completeness of mechanics, searching for hidden forces. Freud doubted the surface of thought, turning to dreams for answers. Again and again, reality revealed itself as stranger, more layered, more dreamlike. As you continue listening, allow this realization to settle. Science began not with certainty, but with wonder, with the courage to admit we might not know what is real. And in that space of not knowing, the path opens toward discovery. Soon, revolutions will erupt, ideas so radical they will shake even science itself. But before that storm arrives, rest in this simple awareness. Questioning reality has always been the first step toward truth. Imagine the ground shifting beneath your feet. The world you thought you understood, solid, mechanical, predictable, suddenly becomes strange again. This is what happened when science, having built its foundation on reason and measurement, encountered discoveries that shattered its own certainty. These revolutions in thought did not close the mystery, they deepened it. And as you listen, allow yourself to feel that same sense of wonder, as if the dream of reality is being rewritten all around you. In the early 20th century, Albert Einstein introduced his theories of relativity. In 1905, His special relativity paper revealed that time and space are not fixed backdrops, but flexible, intertwined dimensions. Later, in 1915, general relativity showed that gravity is not a force pulling objects together, but the very curvature of space-time itself. Dr. Brian Greene of Columbia University explains that Einstein's equations describe a cosmos where reality bends, stretches, and warps, much like the shifting landscapes of a dream. Imagine walking down a familiar street, only to find that time itself flows differently. Space stretches unexpectedly. That is relativity, the waking world behaving like the dream world. At nearly the same time, quantum mechanics emerged. Experiments by Max Planck in 1900 and Niels Bohr in the 1910s revealed that matter at its smallest scales does not behave like solid particles, but like waves of probability. The famous double-slit experiment demonstrated that electrons behave differently depending on whether they are observed. Dr. Richard Feynman later called this the central mystery of quantum physics. Think about that for a moment. The act of observation changes reality. Is that not precisely what happens in dreams? You look, and the scene shifts. You notice, and the story bends. In psychology, revolutions were stirring too. Carl Jung's exploration of the collective unconscious challenged the purely rational model of the mind. He suggested that dreams, myths, and symbols are not byproducts but guiding structures of reality. Meanwhile, Dr. J.B. Rhine at Duke University began parapsychological experiments in the 1930s, testing telepathy and precognition with statistical rigor. Though controversial, his findings suggested that consciousness might extend beyond the body, reaching into future events or distant minds. If even a fraction of this is true, then dreams, too, could be more than imagination. They could be the channels of a larger network of awareness. And consider the revolution of neuroscience. In the 1950s, Dr. Nathaniel Kleitman and his student Eugene Aserinsky at the University of Chicago discovered REM sleep. Electrodes showed bursts of brain activity as subjects dreamed, their eyes darting beneath closed lids. This discovery revealed that dreams are not passive states, but dynamic neurological storms. Later, Dr. Alan Hobson built models of dream activation, while others like Dr. Mark Solms suggested dreams are tied to emotional regulation and memory consolidation. The brain, it seems, uses dreams to integrate, to imagine, to prepare. But why does it choose such vivid reality, like imagery? Why does it choose stories instead of data? Now imagine yourself as one of these scientists, standing in a lab late at night, staring at graphs that refuse to fit expectations. You've been trained to believe the universe is orderly, but the results suggest otherwise. The particle disappears when unobserved. The patient dreams of events that later come true. The brain lights up as though it's rehearsing another life entirely. You rub your eyes, wondering, am I awake or am I still inside the mystery? The deeper implication is this: every revolution in science has not reduced the dreamlike quality of the world, but amplified it. Relativity made space and time fluid. Quantum theory made matter uncertain. Psychology made the mind vast and interconnected. Neuroscience made dreaming central, not peripheral. At each turn, the solidity of reality melted further. leaving us with something that looks less like machinery and more like imagination. As you drift deeper, allow these revolutions to echo in your mind. The world is not what it seemed to Newton, nor to Galileo, nor even to Einstein. It is shifting, shimmering, responsive, much like the dreams you slip into each night. And as we move forward, we'll uncover not only theories and equations, but strange accounts from history, moments where ordinary people glimpsed extraordinary truths. For now, let your curiosity remain open, because reality may be preparing to surprise you once again. Imagine leafing through dusty chronicles, expecting tales of kings and wars, only to stumble upon something far stranger. Accounts of visions, prophetic dreams, impossible experiences that no historian could fully explain. These moments, scattered across centuries, shimmer like fragments of another reality breaking through. As you listen, let yourself drift into the spaces between history and dream, where mystery lingers, unresolved yet undeniable. One of the most famous dream accounts comes from Abraham Lincoln, just days before his assassination in 1865. Lincoln told his wife and close friends about a troubling dream. He described walking through the White House at night, hearing sobs from unseen mourners. Entering the East Room, he saw a coffin guarded by soldiers. When he asked who had died, someone replied, "The President." A few nights later, John Wilkes Booth carried out his fatal attack. Historians such as Dr. Carl Sandburg recorded Lincoln's dream in their writings, noting how eerily it foreshadowed the tragedy. Was it coincidence or a glimpse across time? Centuries earlier, in 44 BCE, Julius Caesar's wife Calpurnia had a vivid nightmare on the eve of his assassination. She dreamt of holding his murdered body in her arms, surrounded by blood. She begged him not to attend the Senate the following day. Despite her pleas, Caesar dismissed the warning and fell to the daggers of the conspirators. Ancient historian Plutarch detailed this event, preserving the story as one of the many omens surrounding Caesar's death. Again, a dream, dismissed yet fulfilled. In the Middle Ages, Saint Joan of Arc claimed to hear voices and see visions, often arriving in dreamlike states. These voices guided her military strategies and decisions. She testified during her trial in 1431 that her visions were clearer than waking sight, describing saints and angels appearing in radiant forms. The judges tried to dismiss her claims as hallucinations. Yet her victories on the battlefield reshaped the course of French history. Could it be that what she saw was not imagination, but an entry into another layer of reality? In more recent times, inventor Elias Howe, struggling to design the sewing machine, dreamt of being attacked by warriors holding spears with holes near their tips. When he awoke, he realized this was the key. The eye of the needle should be at the point, not the end. His machine design revolutionized industry. Dr. Deirdre Barrett of Harvard Medical School has studied such cases, noting that dreams often solve problems in ways the waking mind cannot. She argues that the brain in dreaming mode explores patterns and associations inaccessible during ordinary consciousness. Imagine your own mind, right now, holding answers it reveals only in dreams. Even in wartime, dreams have played a role. During World War I, British officer Sir Douglas Haig reported a dream in which he saw enemy positions with remarkable clarity. Days later, his vision matched the actual battlefield layout, guiding his strategy. Though skeptics dismissed such stories, military historians like Dr. John Keegan note that soldiers throughout history have relied on dreams and intuitions for guidance, often with uncanny accuracy. And then there are personal stories, those that never make it into history books, but echo in countless families. Perhaps you've heard of someone dreaming of a loved one's passing before receiving the news, or of finding themselves in a place they've never visited, only to recognize it years later. Dr. Louisa Ryan, working with thousands of dream reports in the mid-20th century, cataloged such cases at Duke University. She found recurring themes: dreams of danger, dreams of contact, dreams of the future. Patterns that suggest something more than random imagination. Now picture yourself as a reader of these accounts, sitting by candlelight, the pages rustling softly. You notice the repeating pattern warning dreams, guiding dreams, dreams that cross the boundary of time. You pause, wondering if history itself has been shaped not only by battles and treaties, but by visions carried from the dream world. The deeper implication is striking. If leaders, inventors, and ordinary dreamers have received guidance that later proved true, then perhaps dreams are not isolated illusions. Perhaps they are signals, brief transmissions from a deeper reality, glimpsed when the ordinary mind grows quiet. As you allow this idea to settle, notice how it changes the way you think about your own dreams. That strange fragment you remember from last night, the place that felt familiar, the person who seemed to speak with purpose, might carry meaning you've not yet discovered. History is full of such moments, and as we step into the modern age, the stories will only grow stranger, backed not only by anecdotes but by science itself. For now, breathe and let yourself imagine history as we know it may be a dream we've only half remembered. Imagine living in a world of satellites, smartphones, and space stations, and yet still encountering mysteries that no equation, no experiment can fully explain. You might think that in this modern age, with our microscopes and supercomputers, the dreamlike strangeness of reality would fade. And yet, the opposite is true. The more we measure, the more anomalies appear. It's as if the universe keeps reminding us there are still secrets hidden, just beyond the reach of waking reason. One of the most intriguing modern mysteries involves near-death experiences, or NDEs. In the 1970s, Dr. Raymond Moody collected hundreds of testimonies from patients who had been declared clinically dead, only to be revived. Again and again, people described similar patterns, moving through a tunnel, encountering a light, meeting deceased loved ones. Modern studies at the University of Southampton, led by Dr. Sam Parnia, examined thousands of cardiac arrest cases. Some patients reported verifiable details from outside their bodies, descriptions of medical procedures they could not have seen. Are these hallucinations, or glimpses into a reality usually veiled? Consider also the phenomenon of déjà vu. Neurologists such as Dr. Alan Brown from Southern Methodist University have documented how people often experience a moment of recognition in unfamiliar places, as though they are reliving a dream. In 2006, a study at Leeds Memory Group suggested déjà vu might arise from the brain misfiring memory circuits. But others, like Dr. Vernon Knepp, argue that déjà vu could indicate the overlap of parallel timelines, where a fragment of one reality bleeds into another. Pause for a moment and recall your own déjà vu. Did it feel like an error or like a message? Modern UFO encounters also blur the boundary of dream and waking. In 1947, pilot Kenneth Arnold reported 9 strange craft over Mount Rainier, sparking the modern UFO era. Since then, millions of sightings have been logged, many by trained pilots, police officers, and military personnel. Dr. Jacques Vallée, a computer scientist and astrophysicist, has studied these phenomena for decades. He suggests that UFO encounters resemble dreamlike events, symbolic, transformative, and often carrying personal meaning for witnesses. In his view, they might not be extraterrestrial visitors at all, but manifestations of a deeper, multidimensional reality interacting with consciousness itself. Then there are modern dream accounts that defy explanation. In 1965, a woman named Kathleen Middleton reported a dream of a plane crash near the Scottish Highlands. Days later, a crash occurred in the exact area she described. The British Society for Psychical Research documented her testimony, noting its uncanny accuracy. In the 21st century, projects like Dr. Dean Radin's research at the Institute of Noetic Sciences continue to collect precognitive dream reports, testing whether consciousness can access information beyond linear time. The results, while controversial, often show statistical anomalies, patterns suggesting that dreams may indeed glimpse the future. You may even have had your own strange experiences. Perhaps you dreamt of someone calling, and the phone rang minutes later. Perhaps you thought of a place, only to encounter it the next day. These little cracks in the everyday face invite you to wonder, is the waking world truly separate from the dream world? Or are they woven together in ways we've only begun to notice? Now imagine yourself walking through a city at night. Lights flicker in windows, cars hum along distant streets. And yet, in that ordinary scene, something unusual happens. You notice a shadow where none should be, or a face in the crowd that vanishes when you blink. Modern life is filled with such moments. Brief, inexplicable ruptures that make you question the solidity of reality. The deeper implication is clear. Even in the most technologically advanced societies, mystery thrives. Our instruments may be sharper, our theories more precise, but the world continues to behave in ways that suggest it is not entirely what it seems. It remains dreamlike, responsive, uncanny. As you let this awareness drift through your mind, notice how it softens your certainty. You do not need to explain everything tonight. Instead, you can rest in the possibility that reality is more flexible than you've been told. And as we move deeper into this journey, we'll step into the very heart of strangeness, the paradoxes of quantum physics, where probability itself becomes the substance of the world. Imagine shrinking yourself down, smaller and smaller, until you pass beyond the level of cells, beyond molecules, beyond atoms. At that scale, you might expect to find solid building blocks, tiny marbles composing the universe. And yet, when science looked closer, it discovered something baffling. At the heart of matter, solidity vanishes. Reality becomes uncertain, probabilistic, dreamlike. This is the paradox of the quantum world. In 1900, Max Planck proposed that energy is not continuous but comes in discrete packets. Quanta. This small step birthed a revolution. Soon after, Niels Bohr, Werner Heisenberg, and Erwin Schrödinger began constructing quantum theory in the 1920s. Their experiments showed that electrons do not orbit atoms like planets around a sun. Instead, they exist in clouds of probability, appearing as both particles and waves, depending on how they are observed. Consider the double-slit experiment, still one of the most mysterious in all of science. Fire electrons through two narrow slits, and they form an interference pattern, behaving like waves. But observe them closely, and they collapse into particles, choosing one path or the other. Dr. Richard Feynman famously remarked that this single experiment contains the only mystery of quantum mechanics. How can matter be both wave and particle? How can observation itself change the outcome? This paradox deepened with Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which states that you cannot know both the position and momentum of a particle with absolute precision. The more clearly you measure one, the blurrier the other becomes. Imagine holding a dream object in your hand. Look too closely at its details, and the scene shifts, slips, rearranges. Quantum particles behave with that same slipperiness. Then there's Schrödinger's cat, the famous thought experiment from 1935. A cat in a sealed box is linked to a quantum event. Until observed, the system is both decayed and not decayed, meaning the cat is both alive and dead. Only observation collapses the superposition into one outcome. While Schrödinger intended this as a critique, the paradox illustrates the strange truth. Quantum systems exist in multiple states until someone, or something, observes. Modern researchers like Dr. Anton Zeilinger of the University of Vienna have pushed these mysteries further, conducting experiments with quantum entanglement. Two particles, once linked, remain connected no matter how far apart they travel. Change one, and the other responds instantly, even across light years. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance, resisting the idea until his death. Yet experiments continue to confirm entanglement's reality. It is as if the universe maintains hidden threads, weaving particles together in ways invisible to waking perception. Now pause and imagine yourself holding two pebbles. You drop one here, and the other instantly reacts thousands of miles away. Impossible, you think. And yet, that is precisely what quantum experiments show. The dreamlike nature of this connection suggests that separation itself may be an illusion. Just as in dreams, where distances collapse and thoughts manifest instantly, the quantum world behaves as if everything is one interconnected whole. Even the role of the observer raises unsettling questions. Does consciousness collapse the wave function, choosing one reality from many? Physicists still debate this. Dr. John von Neumann and later Dr. Eugene Wigner argued that the observer's mind plays a central role. Others, like Hugh Everett in 1957, propose the many worlds. Interpretation: all outcomes occur, each in its own parallel universe. Every dream, every possibility, unfolds somewhere. Which version is true? Science cannot yet say. For you, lying here now, this has profound implications. The quantum world is not distant. It underlies your very body, the air you breathe, the neurons firing in your brain. Every moment, your reality is being shaped by principles that defy common sense. You are, in a very real way, living in a universe that behaves like a dream. As you let this realization wash over you, notice how it softens the edges of certainty. The paradoxes do not demand an answer tonight. They invite you to rest in mystery, to allow possibility to expand. And as we move forward, we'll explore what this means for probability itself. How reality may not be fixed at all, but a shimmering field of options, waiting for attention to select the path. Imagine standing before 1,000 doors, each leading to a different future. Some futures are familiar, others completely unthinkable. You reach for one handle, and instantly, all the other doors vanish. This is the essence of probability in our universe. It's not just mathematics. It may be the very fabric of reality itself. And as you listen now, drifting deeper into thought, you might begin to sense that your life has always been unfolding in just this way, like a dream choosing one path among many. The roots of probability in science trace back to Blaise Pascal and Pierre de Fermat in the 17th century, who studied gambling problems. What began as a way to calculate odds soon revealed something much deeper. Nature itself seems to follow probabilistic patterns. In the 20th century, quantum mechanics made this unavoidable. According to the Copenhagen interpretation, developed by Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, quantum systems do not have definite properties until measured. They exist in superpositions, probability waves, waiting to collapse. Reality itself, at its most fundamental level, is not certainty but chance. Dr. Max Born, who introduced the probability interpretation of the wave function in 1926, explained that the mathematics of quantum theory does not describe things as they are, but the likelihood of how they might appear. Imagine tossing a die. Before it lands, all 6 outcomes are possible, but in the quantum realm, it's not just ignorance of the outcome, it's that all possibilities genuinely coexist until one emerges. The universe is, in a sense, rolling dice at every moment. Yet probability doesn't only govern physics. In neuroscience, researchers like Dr. Carl Friston at University College London propose that the brain itself operates on predictive coding, a probabilistic model where the mind continuously guesses what comes next, adjusting with each sensory input. Dreams, too, may be part of this process, rehearsing possibilities, running simulations. Perhaps when you dream of a conversation, a journey, or even a danger, your brain is exploring potential futures, testing which might come to pass. Now think of the famous thought experiment by Erwin Schrödinger. His cat both alive and dead until observed. This paradox is more than a puzzle. It suggests that probability and reality are inseparable. Until you open the box, multiple realities coexist, and some interpretations, like Hugh Everett's many worlds theory, claim that all possibilities unfold branching into countless parallel universes. Every choice, every chance, every dream continues somewhere. Imagine for a moment that when you chose your path today, another version of you chose differently. Perhaps in another reality, you stayed home instead of leaving. In another, you spoke the words you held back. In yet another, you never even found this recording. Each possibility exists, shimmering like overlapping dreams. Which version feels most real? Perhaps all of them do. Probability also shapes our waking lives in subtler ways. Economists like Dr. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel laureate in 2002, showed how human decisions are influenced not by certainty, but by perceived risk and probability. Psychologists studying intuition have found that people often feel the likelihood of events before consciously calculating. Dreams, too, sometimes express these intuitions, symbolically forecasting what may come. Is it chance, or is probability itself a kind of language the unconscious mind can read? Now, pause and consider your own life. Think back to a dream you once had that seemed to foreshadow a moment that later occurred. Could it be that your mind, in sleep, was reaching into the field of probabilities, sensing the most likely path? This perspective suggests that dreams may not predict with certainty, but glimpse what is probable. What is unfolding in the vast statistical ocean of possibilities? The deeper implication is humbling. Reality is not a fixed script, but a probabilistic dance. Each moment is a wave collapsing into form, like a dream image solidifying just as you notice it. You are not moving through a predetermined story. You are part of a shimmering field where infinite outcomes wait for attention, for choice, for observation. As you continue this journey, allow this thought to soothe you: your future is not locked. It is fluid, flexible, alive with possibility. And in the next chapter, we will step further inward, exploring not just probability in the outer world, but the dimensions of the mind itself, where dreams are born and where reality may be shaped from within. What if the mind is not contained within the brain, but the brain is contained within the mind? This reversal of perspective opens a door to dimensions rarely acknowledged, yet hinted at in dreams, altered states, and mystical experiences. And as you listen now, you may begin to notice how your own awareness stretches beyond the edges of thought, like ripples on a vast, invisible sea. In 1899, Sigmund Freud published The Interpretation of Dreams, suggesting that the unconscious holds hidden desires and memories. Just a few decades later, Carl Jung expanded the vision, introducing the idea of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of symbols and archetypes spanning cultures and centuries. According to Jung, when you dream of a wise old figure, a hero, or a shadowy presence, you are touching something beyond your personal mind. You are brushing against a dimension of psyche shared by all humanity. But modern neuroscience adds another layer. Dr. Giulio Tononi of the University of Wisconsin proposed integrated information theory, suggesting that consciousness itself emerges from the integration of information across networks. Meanwhile, research from Dr. Stanislas Dehaene in France shows that awareness arises in flashes of neural activity that spread through the brain, binding scattered processes into a unified moment of experience. Yet even these models cannot fully capture why you feel the way you do, why a dream can seem more vivid than waking life. Think about the hypnagogic state, that twilight between waking and sleeping. In this liminal zone, the mind slips into unusual perceptions, faces appear, voices whisper, colors swirl. Dr. Andreas Mavromatis, who studied hypnagogia in the 1980s, described it as a gateway into hidden dimensions of the psyche. Perhaps you've felt it. The sudden sense of falling, the glimpse of a landscape that vanishes when you notice it. These experiences hint at layers of mind where ordinary logic no longer applies. Consider also near-death experiences, studied extensively by Dr. Raymond Moody and later by Dr. Pim van Lommel. Patients describe tunnels of light, life reviews, encounters with beings of love. Neurologists often dismiss these as brain-generated illusions under stress. Yet the consistency of reports across cultures suggests a dimension of mind that transcends the body itself. Could it be that consciousness is not a byproduct of neurons, but something fundamental, something that uses the brain as a receiver? To bring this closer, imagine yourself in a dream where you fly over a city. At first, you accept it as real. But then you become lucid. You realize you are dreaming. In that moment, the city becomes malleable. With intention, you can soar higher, summon new landscapes, change the script. Researchers like Dr. Stephen LaBerge at Stanford University demonstrated in the 1980s that lucid dreamers can signal from within dreams by moving their eyes in prearranged patterns. This proved scientifically that the dreaming mind has dimensions as interactive and navigable as waking life. Now think of the implications. If dreams reveal a dimension where thought directly shapes experience, what does that suggest about waking reality? Could intention, focus, and imagination have more influence than we assume? In the 1970s, the Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab, led by Dr. Robert Jung, conducted decades of experiments on the effect of human intention on random number generators. Results suggested subtle but consistent shifts, small probabilities bending toward focused thought. A hint that the dimensions of mind might spill into the fabric of the world itself. For you, lying here now, this opens a doorway of wonder. Consider the moments in your own life when intuition guided you, when you felt a hunch that proved correct, or dreamed of someone only to hear from them the next day. These are not accidents, but whispers from deeper dimensions of the mind, dimensions where time, space, and separation loosen. Pause and allow yourself to imagine that your mind is not a single flat surface, but a vast structure with layers and levels. The conscious is like the tip of an iceberg above water. The subconscious is the massive foundation below. And beneath that, deeper still, may lie collective, archetypal, even cosmic dimensions, where your dream merges with every dream, where your thoughts brush against the infinite. The deeper implication is this: reality may not be outside waiting to be observed. Reality may be woven from the dimensions of mind itself. You are not just drifting through a universe. You are participating in its unfolding, both awake and asleep. As you sink further into relaxation, let this truth settle. The dimensions of your mind are boundless, eternal, and always accessible. And as we continue, we will step even further outward, into the frontier of consciousness studies, where scientists, philosophers, and seekers attempt to chart the uncharted. What if consciousness is not just a feature of the brain, but the fundamental fabric of the universe? Imagine for a moment that matter, energy, space, and time all arise from awareness itself. This is not only the suggestion of mystics and sages, but increasingly the speculation of physicists and neuroscientists who dare to step beyond the edges of conventional thought. And as you continue listening, your own awareness may begin to expand, like a horizon stretching endlessly, reminding you that the frontier of consciousness is not somewhere out there. It is here, inside you. One of the most persistent questions in science is known as the hard problem of consciousness. Coined by philosopher Dr. David Chalmers in the 1990s, it asks, why does physical matter give rise to subjective experience? Neurons fire, chemicals flow, signals travel. But why should any of this feel like something? Why should the color red appear vivid, or music stir emotion, or dreams unfold with entire landscapes? No equation, no scan, no model yet explains the raw presence of awareness. Researchers at leading institutions have tried. Dr. Christoph Koch at the Allen Institute for Brain Science has devoted decades to mapping the neural correlates of consciousness, trying to pinpoint the circuits that create experience. Meanwhile, Giulio Tononi's Integrated Information Theory, IOIT, proposes that consciousness corresponds to the degree of interconnected information in a system. The more integrated, the richer the awareness. By this logic, even simple networks might possess faint glimmers of consciousness. But even this still does not solve the mystery of why experience exists. To grasp the frontier, let's turn to unexpected places. In 1971, Nobel laureate Roger Sperry studied split brain patients, individuals whose corpus callosum, the bridge between hemispheres, was severed to treat epilepsy. Astonishingly, each hemisphere appeared to generate its own stream of awareness. In one case, the right hand reached for a shirt, while the left hand pushed it away. Two consciousnesses in one body. This suggests the mind is not singular, but a constellation, a system that can divide and multiply under unusual conditions. Now shift to another discovery. In the 1960s, Dr. Carl Pribram introduced the holographic model of memory, suggesting that the brain does not store information in one place, but distributes it like a hologram, where each part contains the whole. Around the same time, physicist Dr. David Bohm proposed that reality itself might be holographic, with the visible world arising from a deeper, implicate order. Combined, these ideas whisper that consciousness may be more like a field, everywhere at once, enfolding and unfolding, just as dreams project entire realities from nowhere. Consider also near-death experiences and psychedelic research. Dr. Roland Griffiths at Johns Hopkins has led studies with psilocybin since the early 2000s, showing that volunteers consistently report mystical experiences, a sense of unity, timelessness, and interconnected love. Brain scans reveal altered connectivity, especially in the default mode network, the hub of self, referential thought. When this network quiets, participants feel their ego dissolve and a larger consciousness emerge. Many report lasting changes in perspective, reduced fear of death, and heightened compassion. Could it be that the brain is more filter than generator, tuning consciousness like a radio rather than producing it from scratch? Mystical traditions echo this. In Advaita Vedanta, the self is not the body or the mind but pure awareness. In Buddhism, particularly Dzogchen teachings, consciousness is described as boundless, luminous, and inherently awake. Indigenous shamanic traditions speak of journeys where the mind leaves the body, encountering spirits, ancestors, or dimensions beyond time. These accounts, while diverse, point toward consciousness as primary, irreducible, and vast. Now, picture yourself drifting into a dream. Within that dream, you meet someone who speaks with wisdom, someone who feels utterly real. When you awaken, you realize they were part of your mind. Or were they? Jung would say they are archetypal figures, expressions of the collective unconscious. Others might suggest they are independent beings, accessed through altered states. At the frontier, the line between inner and outer, self and other, becomes blurred. Stories abound. In one documented case, a man in the 1980s reported recurring dreams of a specific invention, a unique type of solar panel. Years later, researchers unveiled a design nearly identical to the one he had described. Was it coincidence, precognition, or a glimpse into a collective field of ideas? Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, a controversial biologist from Cambridge, suggests that morphic fields, patterns of information, guide both biology and thought, connecting individuals through resonance. His experiments with dogs anticipating their owner's return, and people sensing when they're being stared at, hint that consciousness may extend beyond the skull. As you listen, consider your own experiences. Have you ever thought of someone just before they called? Have you ever walked into a room and felt the atmosphere immediately? Tense, joyful, or heavy before anyone spoke? These are subtle signals, ordinary glimpses of a larger field of mind. Science may not fully accept them yet, but many frontier researchers quietly explore these phenomena, mapping the edges of the known. The implications are staggering. If consciousness is fundamental, then the universe itself may be conscious. Panpsychism, as philosophers call it. Even physicist Dr. Max Tegmark has suggested that consciousness could be a state of matter, like solid, liquid, or gas. Imagine the cosmos as a living, breathing organism, aware in ways beyond human comprehension. In this view, your own awareness is not isolated, but a ripple in the infinite ocean of being. As you drift deeper, let yourself rest in this idea. The frontier of consciousness is not only a matter of research papers or laboratories. It is alive in you. Every dream, every intuition, every moment of awe is part of the map. You are both explorer and territory, and so, as we move forward, we will follow this trail to a darker place. The buried knowledge and suppressed records that hint at truths hidden from sight. Knowledge that, once uncovered, may change how you see both dreams and waking reality forever. Imagine for a moment that vast portions of human history are missing. Not destroyed by accident, but hidden deliberately. What if the truths about reality, consciousness, and dreams were once known and then suppressed? As you listen, you might feel a subtle pull, as though fragments of forgotten memory are surfacing, like pages torn from a book returning to their place. Historians admit that much of ancient knowledge has vanished. The burning of the Library of Alexandria around 48 BCE, for instance, erased countless texts. Some say it contained records from Egypt, Greece, India, even lost civilizations. Dr. Edward Parsons, a scholar of antiquity, noted that fragments hint at advanced astronomical and medical knowledge, systems far beyond their time. Could these have held insights into the dreamlike nature of reality? We may never know, for the records were turned to ash. Yet suppression isn't always about fire. Sometimes it's about silence. In 1945, the Nag Hammadi Library was discovered in Egypt. Early Christian texts hidden in clay jars for 600 years. Inside were Gospels never included in the Bible, like the Gospel of Thomas, where Jesus says, "The kingdom of heaven is spread out upon the earth, and men do not see it." Such words suggest reality itself is already transcendent, but hidden by perception. Imagine how different Western thought might have been if such teachings were not buried. Scientific suppression occurs too. In the late 19th century, Nikola Tesla claimed he received ideas in flashes of vision, almost dreamlike downloads. His work with wireless energy and resonance was decades ahead. Yet many of his papers disappeared after his death in 1943, seized by the US government. Dr. Mark Seifer, Tesla's biographer, documented how entire trunks of notes went missing. Some speculate they contained technologies that blurred the boundary between thought, energy, and reality. If true, why were they locked away? Consider also the phenomenon of dream incubation in ancient cultures. The Greeks practiced incubatio, sleeping in temples to receive healing visions. Similar traditions existed in Egypt and Mesopotamia. These practices viewed dreams not as random images, but as gateways to knowledge. Yet as modern science rose, such practices were dismissed as superstition. The dream was rebranded as noise, stripped of sacred value. What was lost in that shift? Perhaps an entire dimension of human experience. Even in the 20th century, certain discoveries faced resistance. In the 1930s, Wilhelm Reich explored orgone energy, claiming to measure a life force pervading all matter. He developed accumulators, boxes meant to concentrate this energy for healing. While his methods were controversial, the US government ordered his work destroyed in the 1950s, burning tons of books and equipment. Whether Reich was misguided or visionary, the suppression itself raises questions. Why fear the possibility that energy and consciousness might be more intimately linked than assumed? Stories of buried knowledge often surface in whispers. Ancient Sumerian tablets, for example, speak of beings called the Anunnaki, descending from the heavens. Some scholars interpret this symbolically, while others suggest they encode forgotten encounters with advanced knowledge bringers. The Mayan codices, too, were almost entirely burned by Spanish conquistadors in the 16th century, erasing centuries of astronomical records. Only 4 codices remain. Imagine what the others contained. Perhaps cycles, prophecies, or dream visions aligned with cosmic rhythms. Personal accounts hint at suppression as well. In the early 20th century, Edgar Cayce, known as the sleeping prophet, entered trance states resembling deep sleep and gave detailed readings, medical advice, past life stories, even glimpses of lost civilizations. Many of his 14,000 transcripts are preserved, but skeptics dismiss them outright, unwilling to test what they might reveal. Cayce himself said dreams were not illusions, but channels of information. What if institutions ignored him, not because he was wrong, but because he was too close to the hidden truth? You, listening now, may have felt something similar. Perhaps you've had a dream so vivid, so true, that you hesitated to share it, afraid it would be dismissed. Suppression is not only external, it can be internal. When society trains us to silence our own experiences, we bury our own knowledge, hiding it beneath layers of doubt, and yet it waits. The deeper implication is this: history is not a straight line of progress. It is a tapestry woven and unwoven, with threads hidden, cut, or erased. What we call reality may be only the version allowed to survive, while other visions remain buried. Just as dreams are forgotten upon waking, entire civilizations' insights may lie dormant, waiting for rediscovery. So tonight, as you drift further into this hypnotic journey, consider what truths have been hidden, not only from the world, but from yourself. Which dreams have you buried, dismissing them as impossible, when in fact they were messages from a deeper dimension? The records may be suppressed, but the echoes remain. And in the next chapter, we will search for these echoes, not in hidden archives, but in plain sight, encoded in symbols, myths, and everyday experiences that quietly point back to the greater mystery. Imagine walking through a museum, past rows of ancient statues and faded manuscripts. To most visitors, they are simply artifacts. Yet to those who look deeper, each detail whispers. Reality is not as it seems. What if the greatest truths about existence were never completely lost, but hidden in plain sight, woven into art, myth, architecture, and even daily language? As you continue listening, notice how your mind begins to sharpen, as though the world around you might contain more meaning than you had ever realized. Take the pyramids of Egypt. Mainstream archaeology dates them to around 2500 BCE, yet their alignment with Orion's belt and the precise cardinal directions suggests astronomical knowledge far beyond their era. Dr. Robert Bauval, in The Orion Mystery, argued that the Giza complex mirrors the stars with uncanny accuracy. Was this coincidence or deliberate encoding? If deliberate, it implies an understanding of the cosmos, and perhaps of consciousness itself, that modern science still struggles to match. The pyramids stand not only as tombs, but as messages in stone. Symbols themselves often act as veils. The Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail, appears in Egyptian, Greek, and Hindu traditions. It represents cycles of life, death, rebirth, and perhaps dreams themselves. Every night, you enter the dream state, dissolve into another reality, and return at dawn. This cycle, hidden in a simple drawing, reflects the very rhythm of consciousness. How many such symbols surround us, dismissed as mere decoration, when they are in fact invitations to remember? Even language holds clues. The word dream in Old English was dream, meaning joy, music, or mirth. Only later did it become linked with sleep visions. This suggests that our ancestors saw dreaming as more than imagination, perhaps as a state of harmony with reality. In Sanskrit, the word Maya describes illusion, but also the creative power of mind that makes the world appear. We still carry this in phrases like daydreaming or visionary thinking, not realizing how directly they point to the dreamlike fabric of existence. Architecture offers more signs. Medieval cathedrals were designed with sacred geometry, where proportions mirrored mathematical harmonies found in nature. Dr. Keith Critchlow, a professor of architecture and sacred geometry, showed how Gothic arches, rose windows, and spiraling designs reflect the geometry of growth, galaxies, and waves. Walking through such a space is meant to shift consciousness, guiding the mind into altered states, much like dreams do. These structures are not merely buildings, they are encoded experiences of reality. Think of myths told as children's stories. In Greek mythology, Hermes carried a caduceus, a staff with two serpents winding upward. Today, it is mistakenly used as a medical symbol, but originally, it may have symbolized the flow of energy in the human body, mirroring the double helix of DNA and the channels described in yogic texts. To a casual observer, it is just a staff. But to one who looks, it is a reminder that the body itself is a bridge between dream and waking states. Now imagine your own life. Think of déjà vu, that eerie sense you've lived a moment before. Most dismiss it as a brain glitch. Yet what if it is a clue, hidden in plain sight, pointing to the fluid nature of time? Or think of coincidences so precise they feel orchestrated. Carl Jung called them synchronicities, meaningful connections without causal explanation. Each one is a small door, reminding you that reality may be more like a woven tapestry than a linear script. Modern technology hides clues too. Consider how virtual reality creates entire worlds from code. Strap on a headset, and you forget your physical body, immersed in a digital dream. This everyday technology reveals a profound metaphor. If humans can create convincing dream worlds, might the cosmos itself be a kind of simulation? Dr. Nick Bostrom at Oxford University has argued this possibility mathematically, suggesting we may already live inside a vast simulation. Once again, the clue hides in what we create. Even the body gives hints. Dreams blur the line between inner and outer. Neuroscientist Dr. Alan Hobson found that during REM sleep, the brainstem triggers activity patterns that the cortex weaves into images. Yet dream experiences can include sounds, tastes, and textures as vivid as waking life. The body responds to dream stress with increased heart rate and adrenaline, as if events were physically real. This suggests that the border between dream and waking is far thinner than assumed, hidden right in the ordinary rhythms of sleep. Pause now and look around your own memory. Recall the times when the world seemed to speak directly to you. A billboard with the exact phrase you needed. A song on the radio playing at the right moment. A stranger's comment echoing your thoughts. These may appear random, yet each might be a clue, nudging you toward recognition that reality is interactive, participatory, alive. The deeper implication is clear truth rarely vanishes completely. Instead, it disguises itself. It hides in plain sight, awaiting recognition. Dreams, myths, symbols, architectures, even chance encounters. Each is a breadcrumb. The question is not whether the clues exist. It is whether you allow yourself to see them. As you drift deeper, let yourself wonder, how many clues have already brushed past you today, unnoticed? And in the next chapter, we will step into the modern era, where the digital age has revealed new patterns, new mysteries, and new ways of glimpsing the dreamlike nature of reality. What if the technology in your pocket is not just a tool, but a mirror of consciousness itself? Every swipe, every click, every digital connection reveals patterns that echo the very structure of thought and dream. As you listen now, imagine that the digital age has not created something new, but uncovered what was always hidden. The world behaves like information, and information behaves like mind. The internet, for instance, resembles a collective brain. Billions of devices connected, transmitting signals, updating constantly. Dr. Tim Berners-Lee, who proposed the World Wide Web in 1989, described it as a system that could link anything to anything. Doesn't that sound like a dream, where symbols, memories, and faces connect in impossible yet meaningful ways? Online networks are like waking dreams, nonlinear, unpredictable, and filled with surprising synchronicities. Consider social media algorithms. At first, they appear as cold mathematics, recommending videos or posts. Yet these systems learn from behavior, predicting your attention with uncanny accuracy. Dr. Kate Crawford, in her book Atlas of AI, explains how machine learning reflects human biases and desires. In other words, the digital world is shaped by the collective unconscious, amplified through code. Just as dreams reveal hidden aspects of psyche, our feeds expose collective patterns of thought, craving, and fear. Then there is artificial intelligence. Neural networks, inspired by the human brain, recognize images, generate language, and even compose music. Dr. Geoffrey Hinton, one of the godfathers of AI, noted how these systems dream during training phases, hallucinating patterns as they refine themselves. The word is telling machines, too, must dream in order to learn. Could this parallel hint that dreaming is not just biological, but a fundamental process of consciousness itself? Digital phenomena often echo age-old mysteries. Think of glitches, sudden distortions in images, sound, or code. They remind us that beneath the surface of reality, another layer exists. In virtual reality, a single missed frame can break immersion. In waking life, déjà vu or time dilation feel similar small glitches in perception, as though you are catching sight of the code beneath the world. The digital age normalizes the idea that reality could be programmed, malleable, dreamlike. Cryptography offers another metaphor. Encrypted data looks like nonsense until the right key unlocks it. Dreams, too, appear chaotic until interpreted with the right symbol set. Freud saw dreams as coded wish fulfillment. Jung saw them as messages from the unconscious. In both cases, they are encryption systems, requiring interpretation. The rise of digital cryptography reminds us that meaning is often hidden waiting for the right decoder. And what about simulation theory? Philosopher Dr. Nick Bostrom argued in 2003 that advanced civilizations might run ancestor simulations. If so, the probability we are living in base reality may be extremely low. Technology like VR and AI makes this argument more plausible each year. Elon Musk once said the odds we are not in a simulation are 1 in billions. Whether literal or metaphorical, the digital age has forced us to confront the possibility that reality itself is code. A dream written in mathematics. The discoveries extend to neuroscience. Brain-computer interfaces, pioneered by Dr. Miguel Nicolelis at Duke University, allow paralyzed patients to control robotic arms with thought. The implications are profound. If thoughts can directly manipulate machines, how different is that from shaping dream reality with intention? Both suggest that consciousness is not trapped inside, but flows outward, interacting with the environment through unseen channels. For you, listening now, think of your daily interactions with technology. Have you ever noticed your phone lighting up just as you were thinking of someone? Or an ad appearing for something you never spoke aloud, but only imagined? Some of this is algorithmic prediction, but some feels deeper, like the digital world is mirroring your inner state. The more connected we become, the more the boundary between mind and machine blurs. Even collective dreams emerge online. Viral memes spread like archetypes, shifting shape across cultures. Dr. Limor Schiffman, a scholar of digital culture, describes memes as the language of the internet unconscious. They carry symbols, jokes, fears, and desires in compressed form, modern myths disguised as humor. In this way, the digital age replays the patterns of ancient storytelling, embedding collective psyche in pixels. Pause here and feel the weight of this realization. Technology is not separate from you. It is an extension of mind, a projection into matter. Just as dreams project inner landscapes, the digital age projects collective consciousness into servers and screens. The deeper implication is this: we are learning, through our own inventions, what reality has always been: a field of information, a dream of patterns, a code unfolding. The digital age does not merely advance society, it reveals the structure of existence itself. And as you settle deeper into rest, imagine what lies just ahead. Not only what technology has already revealed, but what the next edge will bring. In the following chapter, we step into that horizon, where current technology meets the unknown, and where tomorrow's dreams may shape reality in ways we cannot yet imagine. What if the technology we hold today is not the end of progress, but merely the first hint of something unimaginable? As you listen, imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. Behind you lies the shoreline of history. Before you, endless water, uncharted, shimmering, inviting. That is where humanity stands now, at the edge of current technology. Take quantum computing. Ordinary computers rely on bits, ones and zeros. Quantum computers, however, use qubits, able to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Dr. David Deutsch of Oxford University calls this the beginning of a new universal language of physics. Imagine, instead of one calculation at a time, a machine exploring countless probabilities all at once. Doesn't that resemble dreaming, where infinite possibilities unfold in parallel? Quantum computing could unlock simulations so detailed they blur the line between virtual and real, teaching us that reality itself may be just a layered computation. Biotechnology adds another layer. CRISPR-Cas9, discovered by Dr. Jennifer Doudna and Dr. Emmanuel Charpentier, allows precise editing of DNA. For the first time, humanity can rewrite its own biological code. Consider the implications if life itself is editable text. Then evolution may no longer be a slow drift, but a conscious design. Just as a dreamer reshapes their dream, scientists may reshape the very blueprint of life. This, too, feels like stepping inside the architecture of reality. Neural interfaces expand the frontier further. Companies like Neuralink, co-founded by Elon Musk, are developing brain-to-computer links. The idea merge human thought directly with digital systems. Dr. Mary Lou Jepson, founder of Open Water, envisions wearable devices that might read internal brain states with light. Imagine sending a thought to a friend without speaking, or exploring dreamlike virtual landscapes projected directly into your mind. These are not distant fantasies. They are prototypes being tested today. Robotics offers equally startling visions. Boston Dynamics has created machines that run, leap, and balance like animals. Drone swarms mimic the collective intelligence of flocks. Dr. Hiroshi Ishiguro in Japan builds humanoid robots so lifelike they blur emotional boundaries. In one sense, these machines are tools. In another, they are mirrors, reflecting our own drive to create life in our image. Much as myths describe gods shaping humanity, energy breakthroughs push the edge wider. Nuclear fusion, often called the energy of the stars, is being pursued at projects like ITR in France. If achieved, it would provide near limitless clean energy. Imagine what civilizations could build if energy scarcity vanished. Space habitats, floating cities, or even dreamlike worlds crafted at will. The energy frontier suggests a future where imagination itself fuels creation. Nanotechnology holds quieter, yet equally profound potential. Dr. Eric Drexler, who popularized molecular nanotech, envisioned machines that build atom by atom. Such devices could repair cells, reverse aging, or fabricate matter on demand. In a sense, nanotechnology represents the dream of alchemy, transforming one substance into another, not through magic, but precision engineering. Now, pause and picture yourself interacting with these technologies. Imagine dreaming tonight, only to find yourself in a virtual world indistinguishable from waking life. Imagine remembering that you designed your body's genetic code, choosing traits as easily as words in a sentence. Imagine whispering a thought to a friend across the globe without opening your mouth. These are not distant fictions. They are shadows cast by technologies already in motion. But there is a paradox here. The closer we get to the edge, the less solid reality appears. Technologies expose the dreamlike structure of existence, making the impossible possible. Yet they also remind us of responsibility. If we can shape matter, minds, and even time, what values guide us? Ancient wisdom traditions, from Buddhism to Taoism, warned that power without balance leads to illusion and suffering. Perhaps that is why these edges feel both thrilling and unsettling. like standing in a lucid dream where anything is possible. But meaning must still be chosen. You may wonder, will these technologies awaken us or lull us deeper into illusion? Neural implants could connect minds, but could also erase privacy. Genetic editing could cure disease, but also create inequalities. Virtual realities could expand imagination, but also replace authentic experience. Each edge cuts both ways, forcing humanity to ask, are we mastering the dream or being mastered by it? The deeper implication is that the edge of current technology is also the edge of consciousness. What we build reflects what we are ready to face. Quantum computers mirror the dreamlike probabilities of mind. Genetic editing mirrors the dream of reshaping self. Neural interfaces mirror the dissolution of boundaries. At every frontier, the outer and inner realities converge. And so, as you drift further into rest, imagine this edge not as a cliff, but as a bridge. Ahead lies the next step, humanity's collective choice of where to go. In the next chapter, we will explore that vision, what humanity's next step might look like, and how dreams may guide us there. What if the future of humanity is not simply an extension of the present, but a leap into something entirely new? As you listen now, imagine that you are standing at the threshold of a doorway. Behind you lies everything familiar: society, technology, history. Before you glimmers a horizon filled with possibilities so vast they feel dreamlike. Humanity's next step may not just be progress. It may be transformation. One possibility is the merging of biology and technology. Futurist Dr. Ray Kurzweil speaks of the singularity, a point when artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence and the two fuse. He predicts this could occur by mid-century. Imagine no longer distinguishing between thought and machine, between memory and cloud storage, a dream where ideas manifest instantly, and where you carry not only your mind, but the sum of all minds. This vision suggests humanity evolving beyond individual boundaries into a collective intelligence. Another possibility is space expansion. Elon Musk's SpaceX and Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin are building technologies for human settlement beyond Earth. Think of Mars colonies, orbital habitats, or ships drifting between stars. To leave Earth is more than survival. It is symbolic. It represents stepping outside the cradle of one reality into another, much like waking from one dream into the next. Each world, each colony, could become a new experiment in consciousness, shaped by the dreams of those who inhabit it. Biological transformation also beckons. With cryo-SPR and regenerative medicine, humans might extend lifespans drastically, or even re-engineer physiology. Dr. Aubrey de Grey, a biomedical gerontologist, argues that aging could become a curable condition. Imagine living not 80 years, but hundreds, with time to explore countless callings, to dream deeper into existence. Would this elongation make life more meaningful or blur its urgency? Perhaps both. Philosophy must grow alongside technology. Ancient traditions remind us that progress without wisdom is blindness. The Tao Te Ching cautions against forcing the flow of nature. Buddhist texts emphasize awakening rather than accumulation. Indigenous wisdom speaks of stewardship and harmony with the earth. For humanity's next step, These voices may be as crucial as algorithms or rockets. They anchor progress in balance, reminding us that to awaken from one illusion is not to create another. Imagine, for a moment, how your own daily life could shift. You wake in a home designed by AI to match your emotional state. Your body, restored by nanotechnology, feels endlessly youthful. You glance at a window, and it overlays information directly into your vision. Augmented reality woven seamlessly into perception. Later, you connect to a friend across the globe, not through words, but by merging consciousness for a shared experience. Such scenes sound futuristic, yet the seeds already exist today. But perhaps the true next step is inward. Technologies may expand abilities, but awakening may come from recognizing reality as dreamlike. Mystics from Hindu Vedanta to Sufi poets have described life as a veil, a temporary stage for consciousness to explore itself. Imagine if, as a species, humanity collectively realized this. Wars, greed, and fear might dissolve, replaced by curiosity and compassion. The outer world would still advance, but guided by an inner transformation. Case studies of near-death experiences provide glimpses of such a step. Dr. Pim van Lommel, a Dutch cardiologist, studied patients who reported vivid awareness during cardiac arrest. Many described a sense of unity, timelessness, and profound love. If consciousness transcends the brain, then humanity's next step may not depend solely on machines, but on recognizing the mind's vast reach. Pause here and allow yourself to consider, what if dreams are practice? Each night, you rehearse entering other realities. You learn flexibility, imagination, and detachment. Could it be that humanity, too, is in a collective dream, preparing for its awakening into something larger? The deeper implication is profound. Humanity's next step is not just technological or biological. It is existential. It may involve merging with AI, colonizing space, rewriting genetics, or awakening spiritually. Each possibility opens doors. The challenge is not whether the step will come. It surely will, but which direction it will lead. And as you drift further now, feel the openness of that horizon. Not fixed, not predetermined, but fluid, like the dream you will enter tonight. And in the next chapter, we will explore how philosophies of tomorrow may guide this journey, shaping the meaning we assign to progress and helping us walk that path with wisdom. What if tomorrow's philosophies are already whispering to us? Hidden in the questions we ask, in the technologies we build, and in the dreams we have each night. As you listen now, allow yourself to drift deeper, imagining that the ideas of tomorrow are not distant abstractions, but seeds already sprouting within you. One emerging philosophy is panpsychism, the idea that consciousness is not limited to humans but pervades all matter. Dr. Philip Goff, a philosopher at Durham University, argues that mind may be a fundamental feature of reality, like mass or charge. Imagine for a moment that every atom in your body has its own glimmer of awareness, every tree its own perspective, every star its own silent experience. Tomorrow's philosophy might see reality not as dead matter, but as a living, dreaming whole. Another rising perspective is process philosophy, rooted in the work of Alfred North Whitehead. Instead of seeing reality as made of things, Whitehead described it as made of events, moments of becoming. Reality, in this view, is fluid, shifting, like a dream unfolding frame by frame. For you, this means identity itself is not fixed but ongoing, renewed each moment. Tomorrow's thinkers may embrace this dynamic view, aligning science with the flow of consciousness itself. Existential risk philosophy also takes center stage. Scholars like Dr. Nick Bostrom at Oxford warn of risks from AI, biotechnology, and ecological collapse. Unlike past philosophies that asked, "What is the good life?" tomorrow's may ask, "How do we ensure life continues at all?" This perspective adds gravity, the recognition that choices in the coming decades could shape the future for millennia. Dreamlike visions of expansion are balanced by the sobering reminder of fragility. Posthumanism stretches these ideas further. It asks, what does it mean to be human if technology reshapes our bodies, our minds, even our lifespans? Thinkers like Dr. Rosie Braidotti suggest that the human is not a fixed category, but a stage in evolution. Imagine yourself in such a world, where your identity is not tied to biology, but to consciousness, flowing through whatever form it inhabits. Tomorrow's philosophy may dissolve the line between human, machine, and environment. Ethics, too, must evolve. Traditional moral codes emerged in small tribes and early civilizations. But tomorrow, ethics may need to address decisions about editing genomes, creating artificial minds, or terraforming planets. Dr. James Hughes, a bioethicist, calls this techno-progressive ethics. Instead of asking only, "What is right for me?" humanity may ask, "What is right for all sentient beings?" Human, artificial, or otherwise. Dreams of morality must expand alongside dreams of power. Now, pause and imagine how these philosophies could shape your own inner world. Imagine waking tomorrow and sensing that every object around you has its own faint glow of awareness. The chair, the air, even the silence itself. How differently might you act, knowing you are never separate, but always entangled in a vast web of consciousness? Such a perspective could transform not only global politics, but also how you speak to yourself in the quiet moments. Philosophies of tomorrow may also draw from ancient traditions. Taoism's flow, Buddhism's insight into impermanence, indigenous reverence for the living earth, all resonate strongly with panpsychism, process thought, and ecological ethics. Perhaps the future is not about discarding the old, but weaving it into new patterns. Just as dreams recycle fragments of daily life into surreal tapestries, tomorrow's thought may recycle fragments of wisdom into novel structures. Consider, too, how digital networks influence philosophy. Ideas now spread at the speed of light, shaped by memes, forums, and AI systems that generate text and arguments. Tomorrow's philosophy may not come from a single thinker, but from collective intelligence. Imagine debates unfolding between humans and AI philosophers, weaving new syntheses faster than any single mind could achieve. This raises questions. If an AI proposes a philosophy that resonates, does it belong to the machine, or to the collective dream we share with it? The deeper implication is that philosophies of tomorrow may not be about finding final answers, but about cultivating the ability to live within questions. Just as dreams refuse tidy conclusions, reality may remain open-ended. Tomorrow's thinkers may value flexibility over certainty, imagination over rigidity, dialogue over dogma. And as you breathe gently now, notice how these ideas feel less like external theories and more like inner invitations. To live as if all things are alive, to flow as if identity is a process, to act as if the future depends on choices now, to imagine beyond the human form. These are not abstractions. They are seeds you already carry. In the next chapter, we will bring these visions down from the lofty clouds of speculation and into daily life. Because what good are philosophies of tomorrow if they do not guide the steps you take today? What if the greatest truths are not meant to stay in books, or temples, or laboratories, but in the rhythm of your daily life? As you listen, imagine that the mysteries of dreams, consciousness, and reality are not distant abstractions, but practical guides. The question is not only, what is real? But also, how do you live in alignment with that mystery? Begin with presence. Ancient traditions, from Zen Buddhism to Stoic philosophy, remind us that awareness in the moment is the foundation of wisdom. Neuroscientist Dr. Richard Davidson at the University of Wisconsin studied meditation's effects on the brain, showing how regular practice strengthens regions linked to attention and compassion. To integrate wisdom is not to escape daily routine, but to infuse each moment with mindfulness, whether washing dishes, speaking with a friend, or noticing the quiet pulse of your own breath. Gratitude is another bridge. Positive psychology researcher Dr. Robert Emmons found that keeping a gratitude journal improves mood, sleep, and even physical health. Imagine closing your eyes each night and recalling 3 moments, however small, that you are thankful for. This simple act tunes perception, training the mind to see abundance rather than lack. It transforms the world from a dull stage into a luminous dream, alive with gifts. Incorporating wisdom also means honoring cycles. Dreams remind us of rhythm. Sleep and wake, inhale and exhale, beginning and ending. Indigenous traditions often lived in harmony with natural cycles, planting, harvesting, and celebrating in tune with the seasons. In modern life, you can mirror this by respecting your body's signals. Rest when tired, create when inspired, reflect when needed. Such rhythm aligns you with deeper patterns of existence. Relationships provide another arena. Philosopher Martin Buber spoke of I, thou encounters, where the other is not treated as an object, but as a living presence. In daily life, this could mean truly listening to someone, letting go of the urge to reply quickly, and instead allowing their words to breathe. Each encounter becomes sacred, each person a reflection of the greater consciousness we all share. Even work can be transformed. Instead of seeing tasks as burdens, you might approach them as opportunities to practice intention. Doctor Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi studied flow, the state where challenge and skill align, producing immersion and joy. Flow states are mini dreams in waking life, where time dissolves and awareness expands. By approaching work with curiosity, you invite flow more often, turning the ordinary into extraordinary. Pause here and think of your own routine. Perhaps you rise early, scroll through messages, prepare coffee, commute, speak, write, return. These patterns may seem ordinary, but with a shift of perspective, they can become rituals of awareness. The coffee becomes a meditation on warmth and aroma. The commute becomes time to reflect or listen. Even small acts can carry the weight of cosmic wisdom when approached with intention. Integrating wisdom also means balancing paradox. Life is both dreamlike and tangible, both mysterious and practical. Philosophers of tomorrow may emphasize flexibility, holding beliefs lightly, adapting to change, and embracing uncertainty. You can mirror this by releasing the need to control every detail. Just as in dreams, where events unfold beyond logic yet still carry meaning, so too in waking life you may trust the unfolding. Technology, often seen as distracting, can also be used consciously. Setting boundaries, such as mindful screen use or intentional digital fasting, aligns modern life with ancient wisdom of moderation. Likewise, using apps for meditation or connecting with global communities can extend awareness. The key is intention. Do you use the tool, or does the tool use you? The deeper implication is clear wisdom is not a distant goal but a daily practice. It appears in how you breathe, speak, notice, and respond. It is not about withdrawing from the world, but engaging it more deeply, seeing every moment as part of the dream of existence. And so, as you drift further into rest, imagine tomorrow not as a repetition of habit, but as an unfolding canvas. Each step an opportunity to practice presence, each breath a reminder of rhythm, each encounter a sacred meeting. In the next chapter, we will extend this integration further into the art of living in harmony with the unknown, embracing the mysteries that cannot be solved, but only experienced. What if the unknown is not a void to fear, but a companion to walk beside? As you listen, allow yourself to soften into the mystery. You do not need to solve it all tonight. You do not need to hold every answer. To live in harmony with the unknown is to let uncertainty become a gentle teacher rather than a shadow. Ancient traditions often celebrated mystery. In Taoism, the Tao is described as the nameless, the source of all yet beyond description. The Tao Te Ching reminds us, the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. This philosophy encourages surrender, teaching that life flows most smoothly when we stop demanding certainty. Imagine drifting in a river. The more you struggle to grasp the banks, the more exhausted you become. But when you release, the current carries you. Modern science, too, acknowledges vast frontiers of unknowing. Cosmologists admit that 95% of the universe is dark matter and dark energy, invisible, unexplained. Neuroscience still cannot fully explain consciousness itself. Dr. David Chalmers famously called this the hard problem: how subjective experience arises from physical processes. Each unanswered question is not a failure, but an invitation. The unknown reminds us that reality is larger than comprehension, and perhaps more wondrous than certainty could ever allow. Living in harmony with the unknown requires humility. Socrates claimed wisdom begins with knowing that you do not know. In daily life, this might look like admitting mistakes, listening deeply, or holding multiple perspectives without rushing to resolve them. Imagine a conversation where, instead of trying to be right, you explore together. The unknown becomes not a barrier, but a bridge. Dreams themselves are training grounds for this. Each night, you step into worlds without maps. You encounter shifting scenes, strange logic, impossible events. Yet within them, you adapt. You accept the flying city or the talking animal. You navigate without certainty, guided by intuition. Living in harmony with the unknown in waking life can feel the same. Less about control, more about openness. Practical wisdom arises here. Dr. Pema Chödrön, a Tibetan Buddhist teacher, speaks of relaxing into groundlessness. She teaches that uncertainty is not a problem to fix, but the very fabric of existence. Imagine facing a challenge tomorrow, a decision, a conflict, a fear. Instead of clinging to the illusion of total control, you pause, breathe, and let space open. In that space, creative solutions emerge, like dream symbols rising from silence. Case studies of explorers illustrate this beautifully. Polar adventurer Ernest Shackleton led his crew through impossible conditions after their ship was crushed by ice. He could not predict outcomes, yet by embracing uncertainty with courage and adaptability, he saved every life. His story is a reminder not knowing is not weakness. It is the condition in which resilience, creativity, and trust become visible. Pause now and reflect on your own life. How many moments of beauty arose from the unknown? A chance meeting that became friendship, a challenge that revealed hidden strength, a detour that led to discovery. If everything were predictable, life would lose its richness. It is the unknown that makes the dream of existence vibrant. Technology, too, reflects this lesson. Algorithms promise prediction, yet still surprises emerge. Glitches, coincidences, unplanned connections. Even in digital systems, uncertainty remains irreducible. This echoes a deeper truth. The unknown is not an obstacle to progress, but a companion woven into the fabric of reality. The deeper implication is that living in harmony with the unknown may be humanity's greatest skill. Not the conquest of uncertainty, but the dance with it. Not the elimination of mystery, but the willingness to rest inside it. Just as stars shine in dark space, meaning shines most brightly in the vastness of the unknown. And as you drift closer to sleep now, allow the unknown to feel less like emptiness and more like comfort. A spaciousness around you, a quiet hum of possibility. In the final chapter, we will reflect together on all we have explored and bid farewell with the gentle reminder that every ending is also the beginning of another dream. What if this entire journey has been less about learning something new and more about remembering what you already knew deep inside? As you listen to these final reflections, allow yourself to soften, to release effort, to drift. The story has unfolded across ancient wisdom, scientific discovery, hidden clues, and future visions. But the real journey has been within you, guiding your mind gently toward rest. Think back for a moment. We began with the question, what if dreams are the only place you see the world as it really is? That question has echoed through every chapter. We explored pyramids aligned with stars, strange accounts of history, paradoxes of quantum physics, and the vast unknown of consciousness. we wandered through the digital age, the edge of technology, and the philosophies of tomorrow. And all along, each idea returned to the same reminder: reality may be dreamlike, and dreams may be more real than they seem. As you reflect now, notice how the ideas weave together like a tapestry. Ancient mystics described reality as illusion. Scientists describe it as information. Dreamers describe it as shifting landscapes. Different voices, different languages, yet pointing to one essence: the world is not fixed. It is fluid, alive, and perhaps even participatory. Your perception shapes it. Your choices ripple through it. Your dreams prepare you for it. Allow yourself to feel gratitude for this mystery. Gratitude for the unanswerable questions, for the beauty of uncertainty, for the clues hidden in plain sight. Gratitude for your own mind, capable of wonder and curiosity. Even as you lie here, drifting into sleep, your mind continues its exploration, weaving images and stories that connect you to the infinite. Pause now, breathe slowly. Feel the rhythm of your body like waves against the shore. Each inhale draws in the mystery. Each exhale releases resistance. This rhythm is itself a philosophy: to live, to dream, to let go. You don't have to hold it all. You can rest in the knowing that not knowing is enough. In your personal life, tomorrow and beyond, integration comes gently. You may notice yourself pausing before reacting. You may sense subtle patterns in daily encounters. You may feel the edges between waking and dreaming blur just slightly, like mist in morning light. This is not something to force. It is simply the natural effect of opening your mind to new perspectives. Imagine yourself now as a traveler who has reached a resting place. You've journeyed across deserts of mystery and oceans of speculation. You've looked into the stars and the circuits of machines, into ancient texts and modern experiments. And here, at the quiet end of the path, you rest by a fire. The flames flicker like dreams, warm, gentle, soothing. You do not need to walk further tonight. You can simply rest, knowing the journey continues on its own. Some questions remain unanswered. Perhaps they always will. Is reality a simulation? Are dreams gateways? Does consciousness survive beyond the body? These mysteries remain open, shimmering like constellations in the sky. But notice how that feels. Not frustrating, but freeing. The journey is ongoing, and you are part of it, carried by the dream of existence itself. As you drift now, let yourself imagine that this entire narration has been a dream within a dream. A story your mind told itself to open doors, to stir wonder, to soothe the body toward rest. And as this dream ends, another begins. Your own sleep, your own inner journey, carrying you deeper into the vast landscapes of imagination. The deeper implication is simple yet profound. You do not need to escape the dream of reality, nor solve it. You only need to live it, gently, fully, with awareness. Whether in waking or dreaming, in certainty or mystery, in science or myth, the essence remains the same. You are part of the great unfolding, a participant in the dream of the cosmos. And so now, as the words slow, as silence grows, let this farewell feel less like an ending and more like a soft invitation to rest, to release, to continue your journey in dreams. Know that you are safe, carried, connected. Know that mystery will be waiting when you wake, just as dreams await when you sleep. Good night, dreamer. Drift now into the gentle sea of rest, and may your dreams show you the world as it really is.